Good morning, Year 6, and happy Tuesday! As always, please do not feel pressured to complete every single piece of work today. Take your time, look at the menu and think what would be beneficial for you to do. Set a time limit, work to that time limit, and then go and have a break and some downtime. So today, team, Mrs. Perry has got you some reading questions for chapters 13 and 14 in Tom from the Night Garden. Mrs. Perry will be reviewing some more volume maths, so that links to yesterday's maths. So if you didn't do yesterday's maths, I'd do that first before trying today's volume because it follows on. In SPAG, we'll be looking at past tense, and that's not just past tense, that's past perfect, progressive, continuous, all that kind of stuff. So if you would like to review that, I know a few of you found those tenses tricky. There's a lot of review for that today. And English is the same as yesterday. It's your free choice writing week. So if you have not yet started your English or you didn't watch yesterday's free choice writing, have a look at the end of the video today and it explains what the task is.
Hello Year 6. I hope you're still enjoying the book Tom's Midnight Garden. You're going to need to read chapters 13 and 14 today, and then there'll be some questions to follow. Here are the questions for your chapters today. You can write the answers in a book or on a piece of paper, and then you'll be able to check them when you're finished. Here are the answers to today's questions. Hope you got on well with those. For our maths skills practice today, we're going to be finding some percentages of money. You can see that we're working with £620 in the middle there for the 100%, and we're going to find the other percentages. If you can remember how to find percentages, you can pause this and get straight on with it. If you feel you need some help, the 2 pages to follow give you some reminders about finding percentages. So obviously if you don't need those, you can just flick through those after you finished your work, or you can listen to them now as a reminder and then come back to this page to do your work. So percent means out of 100. We must remember it's out of 100. So 50% means 50 out of 100. And because 50 out of 100 is the same as a half, 50% means half. 25% means 25 out of 100. Because 25 out of 100 is equivalent to a quarter, 25% means the same as a quarter. If you think about it, it does make sense. If you had 100 questions on a spelling test, and you got 25 of them right, you'd have a quarter of them right because 25 is a quarter of 100. So that's kind of how we can think about it. So 10% means 10 out of 100. Because 10 out of 100 is equivalent to 1/10, 10% means 1/10. And you can find a tenth of a number by dividing it by 10. And remember, a nice quick way to do that is to just slide the number along. When we divide by 10, we just slide it along. We've done a lot of work on that previously. 1% means 1 out of 100, so 1/100th is the same as finding 1/100th. You can find 1/100th by dividing your number by 100, and to divide a number by 100, remember to slide it along twice, and again you've done quite a lot of work on that previously. This page might be useful to you as just a reminder how to find your different percentages. I'm not going to read that all to you, you can read that yourself and use it as a reminder of how to find percentages. Once you can find the percentages listed here, you can do lots of other things. For example, if you've got your 20%, you can double it to know 40%. If you found 1%, you can double it to find 2%. If you know 1%, you can times it by 3 to know 3%, and so on. So once you can do the ones shown on this page, you can make pretty much any percentages from there. Also worth thinking about 99%. A nice quick way to do that is to find 1%. And then take it away from your 100% number, and that will leave you with 99%. So with these helps and clues and reminders, hopefully you could go back to your percentage work and get that done now. The next page is going to have the answers on it, so you'll be able to see the answers next. And here are the answers to your percentage work. You'll be able to see how you got on with those. Okay, so for the main part of the maths work today, we're going to look at the volume of cubes and cuboids, and this is part 2. You found some volumes yesterday, and we're going to take it a step further today. You had this screen yesterday. Just to remind you, the way to find the volume of cubes and cuboids is to get the length multiplied by the width multiplied by the height. And you can do that in any order, because multiplying in a different order doesn't give you a different answer. We measure our volumes in cubes, which is the little 3 sign, okay, and we'll take our learning a step further today. You saw this one yesterday. Just remind you how to do these. These are meters, so 7 meters times 4 meters times 5 meters to give you 140 meters cubed. So here is your work for today. You're going to find the volume of these shapes and fill in the chart there as well. You don't have to draw the whole chart out, just write what numbers you would put into the gaps. Pause this video while you try that work. It'll also be in the PDF document as well, so you can see it there, and then there's some more work on the next page as well. So here is your next work. You will notice that question 5 is missing. That was deliberate. It wasn't an easy one to put on the screen. I've missed it out on purpose, so you will jump from question 4 to 6. A clue for this page is to remember that on a cube all the edges are exactly the same size. So if you look at this question here, this first one, what's the volume of a cube which has an edge measuring 2 centimeters? Remember that all the edges will be 2 centimeters. Now that idea that the cube has its edges all the same will help you with some of the questions that follow. So a little bit more thinking on this one for you. You can pause this while you do your work, and then the answers are on the next page. So here are the answers to your work today. Hope you got on well with your volume work and enjoyed it. And that's the end of the maths today. Miss Tucker is going to do some SPAG with you next. Bye for now.
Okay team, so we know that there is a past, a present and a future tense. And we have looked at this year the subcategories of each of those tenses. So we're going to review them now. I'm going to give you an explanation and an example, and then we'll look at applying them to some questions. So the first category within past tense is simple tense. It is a simple past completed action. The action has happened. There is nothing fancy about it. It is done. So this will be the most common form of past tense that you are familiar with. We went to the store. She opened the door, looked at us and went to her room. So all of those are simple past tense verbs. There's nothing before the verb. There's nothing modifying the verb. It is just a simple past tense. The next subcategory is either progressive or continuous. They both mean the same thing. If you're looking on your SATs paper, you will see progressive, but continuous is also really commonly used. So you may come across that in high school. I think continuous is easier to understand because it links to the explanation a little bit more than progressive. So it is when we're talking about an action in the past that is still being completed. So it hasn't finished yet. So it is continuing to happen. The action is progressing. It is continuing. It is not yet completed. So if I said yesterday at 10 p.m, probably was sleeping at 10 a.m. Good old lion. No, but if I said yesterday at 10 p.m, I was sleeping. So the author, the writer, has taken us into the past. Yesterday at 10 p.m, we're there. I was sleeping. I was continuing to sleep. I would have slept till goodness knows 10 a.m. probably the next morning. So I had not finished sleeping. I was still sleeping. When Natasha opened the door, so the author's taken us to that point in time when she opened the door, she was wearing her slippers. She was continuing to wear them. Okay, so it was still happening. This is continuous. This is progressive. It is still occurring. Big telltale for continuous and progressive tense is this little dealie here. Quite often there is was in front of it, so that's often a telltale sign, but you also need to think, is this action still happening? And perfect is the opposite of that. It is events that have happened way back in the past, but they have been perfectly completed. So he noticed that I had cleaned the kitchen. At some point I was cleaning it, but now I've finished. Now I'm probably sat on the sofa watching TV. Okay, I had cleaned it though before. I had never been to Disneyland Paris before, I don't know, whenever we went. So I had never been. So I'd not been before. So like progressive and continuous, there is a bit of a telltale sign. That word had tends to appear before. It indicates that the action is finished. So let's look at these 3 sentences about Jill baking cakes. Have a think to yourself, which one is perfect, which one has been completed, which one is continuous, it's continuing to happen, and which one is simple, the most common form of past tense that you are used to. Pause the video and we'll look through the answers after. So here are the answers. So the perfect one is the action that is completely finished. It is perfectly done. So perfect. It is finished. The progressive or continuous one is the one that is continuing to happen at the point. So we are talking about an event in the past, but we are taking our reader back to that point. So we're living in the past, and this action is happening as we continue to talk in the past. She was baking a cake. Well done if you thought about those telltale signs, had and was. And that leaves the last one, simple, the most common one, Jill baked a cake. We can often tell the simple tense because nothing has changed. There's nothing in front of the verb baked, in this case, modifying it. It's just there by itself. Okie dokie, Dean, there are 3 questions on your screen for you to have a go at, all about the different subsections of past tense. Take your time, pause the video and resume it when you are ready for your answers. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers now. So the simple past form of jump is jumped. The past perfect, remember perfect is when it is completed, it is perfectly completed, form of see is had seen. And the past progressive, so it's continuing to happen, it's progressing, form of dance is was dancing. Well done if you got those. Next up, the table is this. So we'll look at past perfect first. Remember that past perfect is when the action is perfectly completed. So made goes to had made, bought is had bought. Past progressive is when we are living in the past and the action is still happening. So made becomes was making, bought became was buying. And the last one, had chosen. That had in front gives me a bit of a clue that it has finished. So I know that it is past perfect. Well done if you got these 3 right. Okay, my lovelies, 2 more questions. The first question, you have to swap the verbs from present simple, to past simple, and then the last one you need to choose which sentence is past perfect tense. Pause the video, take a couple of minutes, and then resume when you're ready for the answers. Okay, let's look at that first question. So all we are doing is swapping these words from present tense to past tense. Because it is simple past tense, we don't need to change the verb at all. It's just a past tense of it. We don't need to add anything extra. No suffixes, no prefixes, no words in front. So forgets becomes forgot, remembers becomes remembered, and walks becomes walked. And the last question, you have got to think about which sentence is written in past perfect. So we need to be looking at these verbs. So I can see that in B, it is just the past tense of the word prepare. It is prepared. So there is nothing added onto it. So this one must be simple. The last sentence says was preparing. That means that it is continuing to happen. This is continuous tense. So that means that the top one is completed, had prepared. That means the speech is already prepared, ready to read out. So that is perfect tense. Well done if it looks like a D. There you go. Well done if you got that correct. Okay, guys, last challenge for your past tenses. So, can you organise these different sentences into the table below? So just write down the numbers of the sentences into a table sketched into your books. So look at the sentence, look at the verb. What kind of past tense is it? Is it even a past tense? There's a few in there that are not past tense and you have to sort them into the other column. Pause the video and resume when you're ready for your answers. Okay, I'm going to give you the answers. So in past simple, we have got 2, 5 and 9. So there is nothing that has altered or edited those verbs. They are just simple past tense. They've happened in the past, they're simple, nothing has changed. There is only one past progressive, and it is given away by the word was in front of it and the ing, meaning that it's still ongoing. Next up, there's 2 past perfects. That means they are completed, they are perfectly finished, and that is number 7 and number 10. And the giveaway for them is the word had. And that means in the other, we have got 6, 3, oh, that was meant to go through it. 6, 3, 4, 11, 8, and 12. All of these are future tenses. So these are all actions or events that will happen in the future from the point. So well done if you spotted those 5. They were in there to trick you. Okay, teams, so we're on to our week 2 of our English cycle. So just like in class, we've spent all of last week building up skills towards this purpose of writing, and now it is a big right kind of time for you to utilize those skills that we developed last week. So today I'm going to present to you a free choice right. So as long as it is an information text informing me about something or other, I'm happy to receive it. It can be on anything that you like. If you're really stuck on what to do with some, prehistoric animals are super interesting. I've done an example for you on a prehistoric big cat, and I found it really interesting to do the research, so that might be quite nice, and it links to our Stone Age topic, but it can be on anything you like in the world. You can present it in any way that you like, as long as it is written down, although an information video would be really cool to see. So if you want to do one of them, please do. If you want it to count towards your end of year writing grade, it does have to be written down there, which is a bit sad. But it can be written on the computer. You can use a document to do it. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do it on Word or Publisher or PowerPoint, pretty please, would you be able to export it before you send it? If you go to the File tab at the top and then go down to Export, it will then create a PDF, which is a little bit easier to send across, because sometimes when you send PowerPoints and Word documents, it moves all the writing out of place and it's a bit of a jumble at this end. So if you export into a PDF, it freezes everything where it is and sends it across nice and neat. Or you can create a big double page spread in your book with flaps and pop-ups and spinny bits and tabs that pull out, because I know you will love doing them. So you could do that as well. There are some examples in the PDF document that goes along with this video. So I found lots and lots of creative examples if you want to have a look at those for some inspiration. And there are lots of different topics. And you can spend as much time as you want on this. So although all the PDFs give you a suggested time for the day on whichever documents, like in class, some of us work a little bit quicker, some of us need a little bit more time, and with everything that's going on in the world right now, some of us have got a little bit more time or a little bit more help than others. So don't feel that you need to spend 5 hours on this over the week. If you want to spend 5 hours on this over the week, you can do so. I'm not going to stop you. But if you have got maybe an hour and a half one afternoon and want to sit down and bosh one out, that's fine. If you want to spend a whole day on it, that's fine. If you want to spend half an hour because that's all you've got, that's absolutely fine. But any kind of writing would be really lovely to receive. I received lots of nice pieces last week, and I really enjoyed them. So especially if you haven't sent me one, I'd love to see one from you. So I'm going to show you now the example that I created for you. I think you'll like it. No judgment on my very wonky faced cat though. So mine is a little pop-up. I'll show you in a second how to do it. Just a nice big colourful information text. The writing didn't take too long. Most of it was research and creating the pop-up. So if you would like to create a pop-up like that, you need to fold over a piece of paper and draw a headless animal on the paper. Then you need to cut that out, do the same for the head and the tail, and then colour it in. Again, a bit of a wonky face, but that's okay. Then what you need to do is attach the head to the body like so. I used a little bit of sticky tape because it was nice and flexible and would allow it to move. And then you just need to turn the feet out so you can stick them down. So I just taped my feet flat onto the book like that. And when you fold it, it all folds up nice and neatly, and you unfold it and it pops out like at the start of the video. So if you want to do one of them, you can do. If you want to do, I always think about when we think of creative presentations, I always think about that huge Titanic piece we did last year where I had a swivelly bit and a pull out bit and a bit that comes out of an envelope, and there were flaps galore and bits of drawing and writing. You know, go nuts on it if you want to. If you just want to write down an information text, you can do that too. But the options are endless. So that is my task for you. Try and think about all the things we talked about last week. There is a copy of the expanding success criteria on the PDF for you to refer to. Cram in as many techniques as you can and you feel comfortable using, and then I really look forward to reading them. I loved your text last week about the Stone Age. You all did a phenomenal job. Well done to all of you that sent those in. And so I'm looking forward to this week. Off you go. Enjoy. Okie doke, my lovelies, well done for completing day 2. Just a quick reminder that any learning that you have done today or any shout outs that you would like to give, please head over to Padlet to show us what you have been doing. You can put photos up there, just not of your face. So any writing that you've done, especially as information text, I cannot wait to see and read those. You can pop on there if you'd like. You can just give a little hello, or you can talk about the maths and English that you have done today. Don't forget about the other websites that you can go to if you've got a little bit of spare time. But other than that, well done guys, and I will speak to you soon.